This is Floridian Rollo, and I'm coming at you with another video. So, there is a curfew in California, in LA. There's a curfew, and the military is now there, the National Guard that is, amongst other people that work for law enforcement is also there. And I do believe that there's people from other states that are assigned to go to LA to go and make sure everything is going accordingly. So there's an issue between Trump and Newsom, the Ibarasi Newsom, and the mayor of LA. So they have an issue of him bringing the National Guard. However, he said that he's going to enforce the law on those who are looting, those who are burning cars, those who are causing havoc to businesses and to the district of LA, meaning downtown. And then you have other issues going on that's adding on to the situation down there in Los Angeles. Be as it may, as I told y'all, Chicago, New York. Now, I was talking to someone behind the scenes, and I was explaining about San Antonio or Houston. Well, Governor Abbott has already put some people in San Antonio just in case they decide to rise up. They already have that situated because most of them is in San Antonio and also in Houston. So to the person that I talked to about that, they will confirm it in the comment section. So it's like all this stuff going on in LA, all this stuff going on in Chicago, now in New York. Now shout out to Ringo because he also mentioned New York. It's next. Well, it is happening, Ringo, in New York City, particularly New York City. Down there in Manhattan or in Brooklyn, either or, by the bridge, over the bridge, because the Brooklyn Bridge connects to downtown Manhattan, and then it goes into downtown Brooklyn, okay? So, without further ado, we're gonna hear what the news station have to say. Before we get to that, let me just thank everybody that tunes into the show. Make sure you hit the like button on your way in. If you want to support the stream, the information will be pinned in the comment section, okay? So without further ado, let's get to the clip. I know, folks, that I should be doing it a different way. Right now, for the time being, I'm doing it this way. As time goes on, I'm gonna add more things onto the phone, okay? So that I don't have to deal with the phone, holding the phone. I know what I have to do. And so when I put that payment in, it will be added on to the video. All right, let's go.
For refusing to follow the curfew put in place by Mayor Karen Bass, who says it will likely last for several days. And California Governor Gavin Newsom is now vowing consequences for violent protesters while still managing to throw digs at President Trump for even sending in the troops.
Listen.
People will be prosecuted to the
Here we
fullest
go.
extent of the law. He again chose escalation. He chose more force. He chose theatrics over public safety. We honor their service. We honor their bravery. But we do not.
He doesn't want this to happen because it makes him look like he ain't doing his job. You're not doing your job. You're down with the deities, the entities. Everybody knows that. They want you out of office. They want that mayor of LA out of office. They don't even want you around anymore. The people have spoken. So, of course, he's going to say they doing this, they doing that, it's causing chaos. Well, you allow chaos on your watch. And people are tired of sin. There's too much sin going on in LA, particularly downtown LA. Let's go.
Want our streets militarized by our own armed forces.
Newsom claims President Trump never...
Why you don't want your streets militarized by your own force? So who you want to be strong-armed than the people that is strong going in the city. You have a lot of companies leaving on your watch. They're going to Texas, they're going to Florida, they're going to Alabama, they're going to parts of Georgia. People are leaving that state, particularly LA, the surrounding district of LA. A lot of businesses is closing. They can't afford to pay that high rent because people leave. When people leave, that's a tax that's not coming back. That state tax, that income, the federal, the list goes on. Then you add on another income from what I'm hearing for people to pay off their paycheck. That's ridiculous. That's uncalled for. That's inhumane. If you want people to be productive, you should not take more than what they already been taking out. This is why I talk about the 80% situation. If you're a member, Elite 2, you could watch the video. All right, let's go.
Called him when the protests broke out, but the president is bringing in the receipts, providing a screenshot to Fox News of a 16-minute phone call between him and Newsom on Saturday. And President Trump is not...
Yeah, because you know Newsom's gonna lie. These paparazzi be acting like they never had a conversation with you, and he called them, talked to him for 16 minutes. He had to show receipts. That's why it's important to show receipts and to have recordings these days. So Trump is on it. You don't think that he don't know people be lying on him? He got so many recordings. He don't have time for the game, and that's what you have to do because people be lying on you, lying, saying this and that, and trying to put a narrative because he's an entity. He's a fallen one. That's how they roll. Trump know who they are. Trump know who they are. You know what I'm saying? And the people are starting to realize and look into it themselves and see that there's a sinister type of environment going on, particularly in the Northwest region, the Midwest and Northeast, and at times in the South or the Deep South. All right? And that's why here in the Deep South, they purging it. And people are starting to notice a certain change in the environment. When you remove sin and get them out, you notice things start growing. And then you get rid of the other nonsense, it grows even more. Greater things start happening. Economic rise and the environment rise and everything start elevating because people are not in fear. People getting rid of their sin and owning up to it and getting them vomits off of them and having the Most High work through them. All right? Let's continue.
Not backing down on his efforts to stop these violent riots. He issued a stark message to any protesters who burn an American flag. Listen.
These are animals, but they proudly carry the flags of other countries.
Right.
But they don't carry the American flag. They only burn it. People that burn the American flag should go to jail for 1 year. That's what they should be doing.
And that's not only burning the American flag. In code, he's talking about those who have an issue of what's going on in this country. There's a plane ticket for you to get on out of here. If you got an issue what's going on here and you think it's not the place to be, and you also from America and you have an issue, there's a plane ticket for you to go to these other countries. Let's see how welcoming they are going to be to you with your sin. When they got sins of people in their country and you see the results of how they deal with those who do sin in their countries. See, that's the issue with these people coming over here. They want to bring their sin. We got sin with our own people that's here with their nonsense. They got to be dealt with, including y'all. So we're going to pack both of y'all up. Since y'all have an issue of what's going on and you don't want to correct your ways, you don't want to correct your life, you don't want to do better, you don't want to provide better services for your family, for your loved ones, for the person you're in a relationship with. So let's take you on to where you want to go to. That's exactly, he's giving you the option. They're not stopping you. Nobody's stopping you from leaving to go where you want to go. The issue is you want to do your sin here. You want to bring more sin here because you brought sin from your country and you bring in sin here. And those who's not in sin should not be focusing on helping those who's in sin, because now you are in agreement with the sin, so you got to go too. It is what it is. The truth of the matter is nobody wants to be around sinners no more. People are tired of being around sinners. People are tired of being around these gang stalkers, these monitoring spirits, these deities, these entities, because you allow them to be in your life. you allow them to be in your life. And once you allow them to be in your life, now you see the consequences. And now people are starting to get a pinch of not having certain things. You had a lady, over by Anton respond that they tired. The men, they quiet, not all, some quiet because they just packing up and getting out of LA. They not trying to stay there. People are leaving. They probably watching the movie Escape from LA, Escape from New York. Now you got to add on Escape from Chicago. And so Governor Abbott is on it quickly. We know Governor DeSantis, he's already doing what he's doing. They lead by example down here, and everybody follows suit. It is what it is. I'm just keeping it real. Let's continue on what's going on.
And we'll see if we can get that done.
Major cities like Seattle and Chicago are also facing similar anti-ICE protests, and in New York City, police arrested more than 80 protesters. And with reports...
Oh, I forgot about that city. In that state, Washington, that's a Ibarazzi, Dibbarazzi. So I'm going to rewind it. We're going to hear that again because, see, they're involved, Chicago, and now New York. You see? Let's rewind it back a little bit. Okay, listen.
And Chicago are also facing similar anti-ICE protests, and in New York City, police arrested more than 80 protesters. And with reports that these protests could continue to spread, Texas Governor Greg Abbott isn't taking any chances. He's deploying the National Guard to San Antonio.
There it is.
All right, Brooke Singleton live for us in Washington. Brooke, thank you. Let's bring in California gubernatorial candidate and Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco. Sheriff, good morning to you. As a member of law enforcement and someone who's running for governor, you could talk about this from just about every angle. But first, from the...
So, he's running for governor. So, we're going to hear what the sheriff have to say. All right? Or the county sheriff, excuse me.
Law enforcement perspective, do you think, and do members of law enforcement that are battling these riots on the ground, police officers, the LAPD, do they think that the presence of the National Guard and the Marines is helpful in this situation?
Yeah, it's definitely helpful because what it does is it enables them to protect buildings and property while we can address the issues that are going on with the rioters. When we are spread too thin, when we have to protect buildings that may not be under attack by a protest or something like that, then we really don't have all of our resources to be able to be directed toward the ones that are actually committing the violence. So with that being done, we can direct all of our attention to criminals.
Now, there's a lot of noise surrounding this story. I think it's a pretty simple story. The fact remains that this thing was spiraling into chaos before Trump sent in the National Guard, and now it is stabilized. Is there any other way of viewing this, Sheriff?
Here we go. Listen.
No, there isn't. We've been lied to from the very beginning. The politicians, California politicians, the mayor of Los Angeles, our governor, have completely failed in that nothing was happening in the beginning. It was allowed to spiral out of control, and then they have created this narrative that completely defies facts and a timeline that we know happened. And this is that they keep calling it a peaceful protest, mostly peaceful, whatever they want to.
A lot of people are asking this question, probably in their mind. Can the sheriffs arrest the governor? Absolutely. They have to get approved by a Senate. Matter of fact, they can arrest the Senate too if they're out of pocket. So this guy's going against Newsom. So more likely he is a Republican or independent that's talking about this issue. So he's very well known in California. Will the people vote for him in California? That remains to be seen. Without further ado, let's continue to hear what he has to say.
But the reality is that law enforcement officers are being attacked, property is being destroyed,
right.
And it is out of control violence that really they're trying to deny for political gain.
That's true.
Yeah, and
that's
Sheriff,
true.
I asked that first question on if it's helpful to have the National Guard and the Marines on the ground because Gavin Newsom has gone to the courts and tried to get them to no longer be able to be deployed. How do you feel about that?
he don't have the resources to cover these people. These people are working overtime. Hold on, I'm trying to look for my thing. Where did I put it at? Give me 1 second while I get my DJI mic, because I thought I had it around me. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. All right, y'all. I'm back on the air. So they have their issues, and they're going to have to figure out what's going to be the best interest for the people in LA, in the city of LA, that is, the district and stuff like that, and also California in its tonality. A lot of people don't want this drama because it's already enough that people are leaving, businesses are closing. It is what it is. It's a war zone out there, y'all. It's a war zone. And one thing Trump is right about, they bring their flags, yet they want to burn the American flag, yet they had an opportunity to prove themselves to be abiding and doing the right thing. No, a lot of them living in sin. And see, the problem is people want sin. And when you have sin in your particular place, there are consequences. You should not be surprised about what's going on in your particular county, your particular state, when people are into sin. Just like them content creators, the 2 that got unalive, the one that's going to be locked up and threw in the key in Vegas, and the other 2 are from Arizona that visit Vegas. They were in sin. You have a lot of sin content creators. Those who repent, I'm not speaking to you. Those who own up to your sin, I'm not talking to you. Those who are accountable for doing something wrong and repenting and relay and own up to the responsibility, you elevating, you celebrating by the Most High because you own up to your sin. There's those who don't own up to their sin, and we're seeing the repercussions and the consequences of what's going on with them in particular. All right? Without further ado, let's go.
Few say that the presence of them is helpful.
It's nothing but childish games. Our governor would rather fight and argue with the president than do something about Los Angeles.
Absolutely.
And the reality is the National Guard, they could have been deployed immediately.
Right.
Because time and time again, we see that these spiral for 1, 2, 3 days in a row, and then you're behind the 8 ball trying to catch up. When you do it in the beginning with an overwhelming show of force, these criminals that are coming out just to destroy,
right,
don't show up because they know there's going to be a consequence.
Right.
But this is 20 years in the making of Governor Gavin Newsom's policies that have enabled criminals to do this in the first place.
He said 20 years in the making. So what he's telling you is it's going to take 20 years to get back to the LA that people know. That's what the sheriff is telling you in code. It's a wrap. It's over in the Northwest region, particularly that LA and San Fran, and the list goes on. Well, we're talking about LA because that's what's really happening. And shout out to Governor Abbott because he's on it. He gets it. He know there ain't going to be no sin going on in San Antonio. There's already enough going on in Texas and stuff like that. They're trying to clean up the sin. Florida's cleaning up the sin. Georgia's starting to get rid of these sinners. Little by little, they put in effort into getting rid of these sinners down there, particularly, particular parts of Georgia. And so, yeah, people are trying to get rid of these sinners and sin-ins because it's a judgment. We're in judgment, y'all. We're in judgment. And like I told y'all, if people don't call out the sin and involve themselves in sinners and supporting the sin, you bringing sin to your household. You got to repent. You got to remove yourself from that sin. Let's go. Nobody want to go to no place that's sinning. No elite that's on point wants to go and bring their family or bring themselves or link up in some sin place. Nobody got time for that. Ain't no money worth in the world to do that. Let's continue.
This is just natural for us.
To follow up
Natural.
on what you just said about how you would respond.
Whoa.
Much bigger.
Why are you saying it's natural? So he knows this sin is natural. It's not natural. It's unnatural, sir. Sin is unnatural. What's going on with my thing? It should be good. I hope it's working. It's saying that it's working. Okay. I hope it's still working. Y'all can hear me. Sin is unnatural. Check to make sure. Yes, sin is unnatural.
Than Riverside, the main city in your county. But if these riots had erupted in Riverside or in Palm Springs, Palm Desert, someplace like that, what would you have done to stop them? And if ultimately it got out of control, would you have welcomed help from the Trump administration with open arms?
Absolutely. And the thing is in 2020, it did happen. The same thing that happened in Los Angeles spilled into Riverside, and we handled it completely different than them. We handled it with an overwhelming show of force where we ended what they were doing
Look at this.
and it disappeared. And what happened was the rest of law enforcement
Look at this,
said,
y'all.
look what they did. It worked. And so Los Angeles followed suit, and they were able to stop theirs within 2 days after ours. So there's already a playbook. You do not allow them to escalate and then bring more reinforcements into the criminal behavior. It's nothing but criminals that are enabled to do criminal behavior, and if they're allowed, they will continue and they will get bigger in numbers. If you stop it in the beginning, then it goes away. That's how things should be done. Any cop on the street will tell you exactly how they can make it end. But somehow, as you rise up through the leadership ranks, they can't make those decisions at the top because politics get involved. The mayor gets involved.
Did you hear that part? Did you hear that part? They can't do what they're supposed to do, and they're overworking and they underpaid. Just like in New York, just like in Chicago, just like in many of these northern regions, Midwest, Northwest, and Northeast. Underpaid, understaffed, liability. They can't do what they really supposed to do because they could get in a lot of trouble, especially if they make the mistake. They know what the consequences come with that. It's coming out their pocket. It's coming out their pocket. So that's some serious stuff to talk about. Let's continue.
The governor gets involved.
Yeah, well, arrests last night ramped up because now there's a curfew in place. Why it took 5 days to implement that curfew is a question that I'm sure will be asked today. And also, Sheriff, there are a lot of people who are being impacted by these riots.
Listen.
We saw it in 2020, and now we're seeing it again. There is one jewelry store owner who's a migrant himself who said that his business was completely destroyed. Other stores are getting looted in this area. So talk to us a little bit about that and the human impact of what's going on.
It's huge. Downtown Los Angeles is an enormous magnet for business all day long. And I mean, you know what our freeways are. Our freeways are just really an absolute mess on a good day. So when you bring thousands of protesters into block freeways,
look at this, y'all.
stop freeways,
look at this.
That impacts everyone's day. Where businesses are closing, businesses have to close, people can't make it to work. It's a major impact for all of Los Angeles.
Yeah, I don't think people maybe in a different part of the country understand when you shut down the 101.
They won't do that in their own country because there will be repercussions and consequences. See, this is the reason why it has to be strict. People don't want it to be strict. It has to be strict because to deal with these sinisters, you have to put stricter laws. It's like the Most High put strict laws on sin. He did. And he gave us his begotten only son to give us a time to redeem of our sins because we came into sin, like the scriptures say. So I'm telling you, man, this stuff is no joke, y'all. It's no joke. It's no games. And if you continue to be insane, you don't own up to your sin, you don't repent, there's consequences for anybody, any one of us. Own up to your sin like I own up to any of my sin. I do something wrong, I own up to it. I pray unto the Most High to get them strongholds off of me. Because at the end of the day, a lot of people got serious strongholds, man. It's crazy out here. Let's go.
You shut down basically the entire Southland because the 101, to your point, Sheriff, on a good day, the 101 is a disaster. This was a bad days or a series of bad days.
Right.
And so thank you for making that point. Sheriff Chet Bianco, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. I'm Steve Goosey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
All right, in closure, look, at the end of the day, y'all, you got to move correctly. You can't be around these centers, these deities, these entities. Escape from LA if you have the resources. Get with your family, get close net with them. Figure out a way to get out of there, get out of Chicago, get out of New York if possible, because it's revving up. And it's not even in the middle of June yet. We ain't even in July and August. They're losing their effing minds, man. Because now it's starting to warm up in these states, and people just went through a cold spray. They shivering, and they want to act the fool. They want to be demonic. They want to be in high sin. There's a lot of high sin in these cities and these places, and I don't want no parts of it. You can't pay me to be in those parts of those places, being around sinners 24/7, because they will try. If you're not a sinner, they will try to get you to be a sinner. They will think something wrong with you. They would, and like, it's crazy. And not everybody like this at the same time. It's just a lot of it going on. You just don't want to take your chances with people, man. In these days of time, you got to make sure they're on point for you to even have a conversation with them, because a lot of people are secretly in sin in these particular places. But yet you got people, adding me, oh, this is that. Look, they don't want to talk about the sin of these people. Talk about the sin of these people. There's a lot of sin going on with people from here and people from other parts of the world, and they got to go. The deity know his time is short, and he's trying to add more people on to the lake of fire. That's why you got, Planet Nubru, aka Planet Hell, enlarging mostly up there because of the sin. So with that said, I appreciate each and every one of y'all for tuning into the show. Make sure you like the video, share the video, and support the show. Brown royalty to the people, we the business.